to this space.
Do I need this? Yes. Okay. For the people. All right. Well, it's wonderful to look out and see this group. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Good evening. Actually, wait for the response. Okay, for those of you who do not know me, I'm Sharon Tholt, the current president of the board here at Beth Shalom. It's my honor to welcome all of you to the belated but joyful installation of our beloved Rabbi Sonia. Rabbi Sonia came to us more than 2 years ago with a resume rich with degrees, credentials, certifications from all over the world. Her knowledge of all things Jewish amazes all of us who have the pleasure to learn from her, whether it's in the classroom, over Zoom, in a committee meeting, or here on the Bima. But she's so much more than that. She's a poet, a cantoral soloist, she's an immigrant, an editor, she speaks many languages, she's a wife, she's a mother, and her truest strength comes from her heart and her ability to welcome everyone and provide a place where people are free to be their authentic selves. She has this ability to make people, to make us better people by recognizing our strengths and nurturing those strengths for the good of the whole congregation. I want to acknowledge first a few special guests who are here this evening to help us make this a special and sacred event. First, Rabbi Ed Staffman, who is our Rabbi Emeritus. Thank you, Rabbi Ed, for coming. I'll wait for the response. And next, I want to mention Lori oh, I know it, I can say it. Rosolowski. And Valerie Weber, members of our congregation who are providing some of the music for this evening, which is always a treat. I want to thank the members of the GVIA, the Gallatin Valley Interfaith Association. It means a lot to us to have this relationship with you all. They are there. I saw them come in, a couple of them. We have very special friends of Rabbi Sonia who will be a big part of this evening's installation service. Rabbi described them to me as friends, guides, mentors who shape our congregation more than we know, because they're our rabbi's rabbi, and what they say is what they do, something I think we all aspire to do. First is Rabbi Jane Littman, Rabbi Jane's right here. And Rabbi Jane, who will be giving the sermon this evening. Rabbi Jane is a child of the 60s. She attended college at UC Berkeley in the early 70s, majoring in feminism and ending the Vietnam War. I know a lot of us majored in that. But she has been an activist ever since.
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
On November 11, we'll have Veterans Shabbat here. And I'm very serious about this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No, that's good. Okay. Let me see where it's. No, it's okay. I get easily distracted. Jane was accepted to the Reform Movement's seminary, Hebrew Union College, when she was 19 and attended the college's program in Israel. At that time, openly LGBT candidates were excluded on psychological grounds, so Jane was in the closet. This proved to be unworkable for Jane, and she returned to the United States, attended graduate school at UC Berkeley, and immersed herself in Jewish, feminist, and lesbian activities and communities. Jane worked as an educator in the Bay Area, Jewish community, but still had a dream of becoming a rabbi, but only as an out queer person. Eventually, Jane heard rumors that the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College might accept an openly LGBT candidate. Jane applied, was accepted in 1984, a historical breakthrough. Rabbi Jane feels deeply grateful to have a career that has made them a better person, both ethically and politically. Rabbi Jane hikes, gardens, cooks organic food, has 2 children with spouse Stuart Schwartz. And on a personal note, Rabbi Jane is a hospice chaplain, and since my background is hospice nursing, I feel a kindred spirit already. All right, and then we have next is Dr. Marla Brettschneider, sitting next to Rabbi Jane. And she's participating in this evening's installation and leading Torah study tomorrow morning. The title for her discussion is Rethinking the Holocaust Within the Decolonializing Conversation. Like I said in the newsletter, if you've never attended Torah study, this is the time for you to come and see what you've been missing. Dr. Brett Schneider has a BA from State University of New York at Binghamton, an MA and a PhD in political science from New York University. Dr. Brett Schneider is a professor of political theory and at the University of New Hampshire with a joint appointment of feminist studies and political studies. In the 1980s, Dr. Brett Schneider coordinated a student activist group, the Progressive Zionist Caucus, and later served as an executive director for Jews of Racial and Economic Justice. She is a community activist and an engaging teacher. Marla speaks widely on Jewish diversity politics, addressing current queer, feminist, and race studies. Dr. Brett Schneider is a prolific writer, has published many award-winning books, including several books detailing African Jewish experiences. Dr. Brett Schneider once described her family as an adoptive, multiracial, two-mom family, a mix of Jew by birth, raised, and by choice, which I think many of us are now. I would say this is a group of very honored guests. I also want to thank my partner, Ken, who's here tonight. He doesn't come to a lot of things at our synagogue, but he came tonight.
But today he's
So
here.
he's here today, and I'm glad he came. And I just want to say, please enjoy the evening. We invite you afterwards there's a sweet oneg afterwards, and please introduce yourself to our guests. Thank you.
I had no idea what she would say. So I was just as surprised as Marla was. So, welcome to this evening. I am asked for everyone who's here for the first time to say there's one bathroom behind this wall, one bathroom behind that wall. We don't allow huge backpacks in the space. And I think that's it. So, the reason that I feel free to speak about profane things is that this evening makes me think in many ways about how it is when two people get married after they've already been living together for 10 years. It is, you know, you get married differently. You know each other very well. You have maybe a deeper appreciation for who is in the room, and you stopped making some mistakes that you might have made earlier on. So I think when two people get married after a while of knowing each other, it might mean even more than if you get married right away. So I am very happy that this installation happens now, at the beginning of my 3rd year. We all know each other already. We've already went through some things. Thinking about this evening, I decided that I'm going to do one thing a little differently today than I usually do. And that is that my husband once said to me, after he heard someone talk to me, is like, they don't know anything about you. And I said, that's not true. They know a lot of things about me that you don't know, but they know different things. But I decided that tonight I'm going to tell you some things about me. And I feel free to do this because someone else is going to give the sermon. So thank you. Thank you to my friend Jane. The first thing that I want to say that I'm usually never saying from here is that I really want to thank my husband too. Daniel is often at home, and you know what? What he sees from this marriage here is not the best part. Daniel always sees the stress and the hustling behind the curtains, and he almost never gets to be here. And he never, never shares the moments that are the most beautiful parts of this job. So I don't only want to say thank you, I also want to say sorry. It wasn't too clear to neither of us what this job would be before we moved, because you are my first full-time congregation. And thank you. I want to invite up to the bima with me Rabbi Littman and Dr. Brett Schneider for the lighting of the Shabbat candles. Please join us on page 120. You can pick who of you wants to be the unfortunate person who needs to actually light the match. You light first. Yes. Yes.
So,
You should say.
okay, thanks. All right, welcome also welcome people here. It's just wonderful seeing all of you here and that all of you showed up for Rabbi Sonia, and I'm so grateful and thank you. And thank you to all of you people who are in the ether and with us in spirit and by technology. I think most of you know that when we light the candles, we do this thing where we, bring in the light and then, cover our eyes. And does anyone know why we do that? Okay, I didn't think so. The reason we do that is because Shabbat presents us with a bit of a dilemma, which is we can't, once we light the candles, it's Shabbat, but we can't light candles on Shabbat because you can't light on Shabbat. So to me, I've always said that's why it's a woman's mitzvah, right? She's like the canary in the coal mine, So if God is going to get mad because we're lighting candles on Shabbat, God gets less mad if a woman does it. But the moment of it is that we light the candles and then we pretend we haven't, right? So we cover our eyes, pretending that we didn't do it, and then it's that moment when light first comes into the world, right? And we see the light as though we had nothing to do with it. It's like this miraculous light that we didn't make. So I want you to sort of think of it that way tonight. Don't watch the man behind the curtain. All right, so we're going to light the candles, but we're going to pretend we didn't, and then we'll see a miraculous light that we didn't create. This is just a gift from God. I'm not doing this. God didn't like that.
Reading Help Me Perfect, page 121. Help me perfect my ways of loving and caring. Inspire me to make myself whole so that I may honor your name and create a world of justice and peace. So I already spoke about the theme of the wedding that, at least for me, hovers a little bit in the air. There's a Sephardi custom to sing the Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim, every night in its completion as part of the ritual of welcoming Shabbat. And it riffs on the metaphor that we, the people, are either the groom or the bride, and God or Shabbat are either the groom or the bride, and it doesn't actually matter, but we are a couple that is running and yearning toward each other, waiting for this moment of the week. We are going to, in honor of this night, sing a little portion of Shir HaShirim, of the Song of Songs, as part of the Kabbalat Shabbat songs. But before we do this, I do want to say thank you to the people who were maybe the closest to being a groom or a bride or whatever it was for the 2 years that I've been working here already, and for the third one that is already running. And that is the past presidents. And first of all, I need to thank Jake, who was the president in my very first year and who gave me a lot of freedom for what I called my I throw spaghetti at the wall year, and I see what sticks, and then I will have a sense of what makes this congregation and these congregants happy. So thank you for just hanging in there with me. And then I had a tricky second year with a very lovely but tricky second baby. And you know me now, I'm also stubborn. And I really want to thank this. It wasn't an easy year, but I'm so grateful for the generosity and the kindness and the care with which you were able to guide us through it. And thank you for the support. And I don't know if she's even here at this point, I also want to thank Cassie, because if there's one thing I've learned so far is that there's always two people going together through things. And thank you to Joseph too, because it's important. And then thank you to Sharon, who hasn't had a lot of training or preparation, but who has been stepping in this new role with a lot of grace and a lot of willingness to learn and to communicate. And thank you for that too. So, you three are my grooms and brides. And I'm very happy for every single one of you. I also, I really want to say this out loud. I really want to thank every single of the committee chairs. My work here has a lot to do with trust. Trust in me, frankly. I want to thank the committee chairs for trusting me to work with them in so many different ways. Suzanne, you don't know this, but you're a committee chair too, because the website doesn't allow for a 13th category, but you're the committee chair for interfaith dialogue. And all the others, they know that I mean them. And thank you. And I also want to thank this entire congregation for trusting my hiring decisions. It occurred to me in the last days that in the last years of this congregation, everything changed. And I want to acknowledge that we're missing Amber. We're still missing Amber, but I also want to say thank you for allowing me to make all these decisions. For Trayson there at the soundboard, who is a more than beloved presence with his girlfriend every single service. For Cody, who's sitting here, who has been, has become a beating heart of this congregation without almost nothing ever happens anymore. And for Lori, who brings so much depth and so much music and so much mastery. So just thank you for working with me and trusting in me, and sometimes hanging in there if it takes me a while to get it. We start Kabbalat Shabbat, the journey towards Shabbat, and one step more in your journey with me on page 136. I hope that's right. I'm not entirely sure. Yes. You know. Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai, kavod ba'oznain, havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai be'adat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod im Adonai al mayim rabim kol Adonai הלא כולו מרכבות לי 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 אדוני למבול ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום יאי 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 ני 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 יאי ני יאי ני יאי ני יאי 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 ני יאי יאי ני
The other one, right? Okay, that's what you meant. Okay, got it.
דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים מי זאת עולה מן המדבר מי זאת עולה מי קוצרת מול בנה דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים ליבבתיני אחותי כלה ליבבתיני כלה ליבבתיני אחותי כלה ליבבתיני כלה דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים אורי צפון ובואי תימן אורי צפון ובואי תימן please at least add a I דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים 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 page 138 לך דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת שלום batteries? Now back? Miracles happen everywhere. So, for the ones of you who have ever been to my office, this is hanging on the wall. There aren't too many of these in the United States of America because this is an ordination certificate in Hebrew and German. It says that I'm a Frau Rabbiner, in case you don't know this. I want to show this to you because I got this thing on August 31st, 2015. And that is almost to the day 8 years ago. So 8 is a special number. A friend of mine who is going to come at some point this year, Larry Hoffman, once said, it takes 5 years after ordination for a rabbi to really figure out what kind of a rabbi you are. It was 5 years when I moved here. And I think it takes maybe 8 to fully arrive. So I just want to say to you, yesterday was a special anniversary for me. The number 8 in Hebrew has a lot of weight. It's a complete figure. I have arrived, and I have arrived with all of you. So, as I'm marking this anniversary, I want to share with you a little what that means. Tracy, I don't know. It's a not
I don't.
Thank you. And it is actually important that you do this. So it was before I even became a full-time congregational rabbi. I was living in Brooklyn, and I had been doing what I had been doing since I was 20, and that is that I was gigging in congregations all around me, and I was teaching Torah, and I was leading services, and sometimes I would write a piece of poetry. And at some point, someone came up to me and said, hello, I'm a new cantorial student at HUC, and I heard you sing here a new melody for that song that we all call Hallelujah. And I have been humming this to myself all the time, and I think I'm going to make a big piece of music out of this. And I had no idea what this person was talking about. But it was one of the scariest experiences I ever had, because I realized that once I'm up here, I say things and I do things, and I have no idea how heavy, how meaningful they are to the people hearing them. I really have no idea. And the longer I'm doing this, the more humbling is this knowledge. And Phyllis here sent me a question a couple of days ago. She asked me about the story of Moses and the crack of the rock, asking God to see God's face. What a strange thing. And I know that's maybe not exactly what you asked, but it made me think about, where do we see God's face? And I think a lot of rabbis have arrived at the very scary truth that often they become Judaism, and sometimes they even become God for the people listening to them. And it's especially in the moments when we make mistakes that this is the most awful. But today I don't only want to talk about how awful this is. I also want to say something back to you. My face of God, that is you. It's all of you. It is the people I work with here. And it's not only work. The people who guide me here, the people I'm in conversation with. I want to tell all of you that I have 2 small kids. And every single colleague I ever talked to about the congregation that I'm working in, the decision to become a congregational rabbi, the exact moment when I had small kids, no one gets this. And I want to say to you, it is because you raise them with us, because you bring us food, and you cut me some slack, and you're willing to wiggle around my impossible calendar and schedule. And thank you. And I also want to thank you. I learned from every single one of you how to parent. I learned from Valerie there that children need to take a nap, even if they don't sleep. But it is important for my sanity, and I stand by this. And so there are a million stories. You're not only making me a rabbi, you're also making me a mom, and hopefully you're also making me one day a good wife. One day. But I do want to say also especially, it's the board members and a couple of other people who maybe more than anybody else has become the face of God to me. In every single voice and in every single face and in every single interaction, there is a teaching that every person in our life is a hidden angel, a Hebrew angel that is just a messenger. And you really must know that that's what you are for me. I take each single one of you very seriously. And I have been told again by Mrs. President that I need to repeat something here that is really, really utmost important to me. Please talk to me. Don't think you're not important enough, or don't think we will never find a time, or don't think what you have is either too harmful or unheard of or boring to bother me with it. Please talk to me. I really, really, this is the part of the work that I love the most. It's you. So, thank you. I don't know if we're 90, but traditionally God has 90 faces. I think maybe we're almost, I need to tell you also, my deepest fear for tonight is that you're not coming to Rosh Hashanah. Because everybody's here already, and it's it's very worrisome. Please come again, okay? We'll have fun, I promise. I will prepare. But yes, I really just want to say thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for coming all the time. And thank you for being to me what maybe I am sometimes for you. Please rise. 146. Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Baruch אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מרהיב ערבים אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המרהיב ערבים. 150. אהבת עולם, eternal love. בית ישראל אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם בבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. So, I have shared with you maybe at some point that I don't like mi chamocha. That is because I'm European, and where I come from, the song of freedom rings differently. But here, this is an important song. And I actually learned it from you, my Americans. The story of the Jewish people in this country is a story of hope. The hope for safety, the hope for freedom, the hope to be as Jewish as we want, and that no one should bother us for that. And maybe that is what I'm most grateful for as an immigrant to this country. It's not perfect, but I want to tell you one thing. Since I've come here maybe 45 times, someone said to me, you know what, you could help me get a German passport because, and then, they tell me the story. And I always look at them and said, and to which European country will you then immigrate? And then they never know. And they don't know because there might be no better one than this here for us and for us in this community. So this maybe for me is the most American part of every service I've ever led in an American synagogue. And please join me loudly, lustily. 158, Mi Chamocha. Giving over my microphone and my bima and my beloved congregation to my friend, Rabbi Jane Littman, so she can teach us her Torah for tonight. Thank you.
Help me figure out how to do this.
Behind your right ear.
Okay. Can you hear me? Oh, awesome. Well, I really want to thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Sonia, for this amazing gift of your bima and your family here, your congregational family. It's really extraordinary, and I'm so grateful. I want to start by letting you know that I see that you're a very informal crowd. And I want to say I really appreciate that because the airlines lost my luggage. And I don't actually normally come to synagogue in tennis shoes, but I see that many of you do. And so that's really good for me. So I'm not feeling like, oh no, what happened? But so I just want to let you know that. This week's Torah portion is called Ki Tavo. We're coming toward the end of Deuteronomy, and in the old country, back when, people would make donations in order to be able to read from the Torah in a good Torah portion, or, to get an aliyah. Where's Cora? Yeah, fundraising committee. Idea. All right, so there were some really good Torah portions that would cost a big donation, like Bereshit, or the Exodus crossing the Red Sea, or the Ten Commandments, or the priestly blessing. But others did not command such a price. And like all the ones in Leviticus about leprosy, you could get pretty cheap. Tonight's Torah portion went for free. And in fact, they often had to twist people's arms to read this because tonight's Torah portion is about hemorrhoids. And it's really about curses. It's about how God will curse you if you're bad. And let me give you an example, just so that you get a feel for it here. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the country. And when they first printed the Hebrew scripture, they did this in like really light print, so that because it was so unlucky. Cursed shall you be your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed shall be the issue of your womb and the produce of your soil, the calving of your herd, the lambing of your flock. Cursed shall you be in your comings and goings, and cursed shall you be in your comings and in your goings. And God will let loose against you calamity and panic and frustration and all the enterprises you undertake. And you shall be utterly wiped out because of your evil doing in my sight. And God will put you to rout before your enemies, and you shall march out against them by a single road, but flee from them by many routes. And you shall become a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth, and your carcasses shall be food for all the birds of the sky and the beasts of the earth, with none to frighten them off. And God will strike you with the Egyptian inflammation, and with hemorrhoids, and boil scars, and itch, and you will never recover from that itch. And God will strike you with madness and dismay, and you shall grope at noon as a person gropes in the dark. And you shall not prosper in your ventures, but you will be robbed, and none will give you help. So, bad, right? Why? So, in order to explain why this Torah portion is filled with curses, I need to explain to you the basic theology of Deuteronomy, which is that God is watching you. God is watching you all the time. If you do good, you're blessed. If you do bad, you're cursed. This reminds me of, about 20 years ago when my second child was a little one. We were out shopping during Christmas time, and the lady at the store said, "Well, are you going to be a good little boy so Santa will watch you and bring you presents?" And Asher said, "No, I don't have to be good. I'm Jewish." So it's sort of, it puzzles me, since it's obviously and evidently untrue that good people are blessed and bad people are cursed. And I'm not going to say anything political at this point. How does this theology come about? So we have to scroll back in the Torah to its earlier days. For hundreds of years, Jews were not monotheists. I know you think, oh my God, Jews are all, that's what Judaism is, we're all monotheists. But they were actually henotheists, and then I can prove this to you. The song we just sang. Somebody want to tell me the first line? Song we just sang. What? Right. Mi chamocha, who is like you amongst all those other gods? Or what's the first commandment? Okay, it isn't like there aren't any other gods, right? It's you shall have none of those other gods before me. I'm the top God, right? So the earliest difference between Judaism and paganism wasn't the difference between polytheism and monotheism. It's the difference between power and morality. The early pagan gods were all about powers. There was the sea god and the earth god and the tree god and the storm god. The Jewish God is not about that. The Jewish God is all about discerning good and evil. This can be quite a burden, but it is also a wonderful gift. And we know about, we understand this through the story of Eve and the apple, Eve and Adam and the apple, which is that the apple is about, it's the tree of knowledge, but it isn't the tree of knowledge, it's the tree of knowledge of the difference between good and evil. And in Judaism, that's what God is. God is the giver of morality, not power, but morality. And human beings are God's agents on earth. We are made in the image of God, knowing the difference between good and bad. That's what people are. The Hebrew scripture affirms this idea throughout Exodus. The Jews are the good guys, they get free. The wanderings, the conquest of Israel, good people win, bad people lose. Our portion, Kitavo, though, is slightly different. Though it is set soon before the conquest of Canaan, it is actually, scholars teach us that it is actually written quite a lot later. It is written soon after the destruction of the first temple. The destruction of the first temple created a theological challenge for the ancient Jewish people, for the Israelites. In the polytheistic world, which remember they're henotheists, they're not monotheists yet. If a people goes to battle with each other, which the Babylonians and the Jews did at that point, what happens up in the sky? In the heavens of the gods. The gods are battling. And if you win, it means your God won. And if you lose, it means your God loses, right? And so if you're a real polytheist, okay, so then, then I'll take that God into my pantheon, and I'm good, right? Because I have the winning God. But if you're a henotheist, if you're a Jew, it is unthinkable. It is unthinkable that Marduk beat Adonai. It's just unthinkable. It is unacceptable to monotheists and even to ancient Hebrew henotheists. If Adonai is the most powerful of all the gods, then how could the Babylonians destroy God's temple, the literal dwelling place of God's presence on earth? The obvious answer is they could not, and yet the temple was destroyed. So now we return to the idea of the curses. If God is the most powerful of all in the universe, who could be behind the destruction of God's temple? God, right? And why would God destroy God's own temple? Because we're bad. That's right. God did it. It wasn't the Babylonians. The Babylonians are merely instruments of God. God did it to punish the Jewish people for being bad. Jewish people in the Deuteronomy idea, Jewish people become the center of the universe. God commands you this day to observe these laws and these rules. Observe them faithfully with all your heart and soul. You have affirmed this day that God, your God, and you will walk in God's ways, and you will observe, this is from our Torah portion, you will observe God's laws and commandments, and you will obey God. And look, God affirmed this day that you, all of you, are, as God promised, God's treasured, chosen people, who shall observe God's commandments. God will set you in fame and glory and renown, high above all the nations that God has made, and you shall be, as God promised, a holy and good people for Adonai, your God. That's a really powerful theology. That is a very powerful theology. This theology sustained the Jewish people for 2,500 years in exile. There aren't any more Jebusites, there aren't Canaanites, but there aren't Midianites, but there are Jews. But the theology of reward and punishment, of blessings and curses that is articulated tonight could not survive the modern world and the Holocaust. It is one thing to accept punishment through hemorrhoids. It is another to accept punishment through genocide. We know that blessings and curses are real. Some people are blessed. Some people live in a beautiful land surrounded by mountains. They have a strong, thriving Jewish community, a brilliant, kind, interesting rabbi. But others are not so blessed. I'm a hospice chaplain, and I know Sharon. Where's Sharon? Sharon was a hospice nurse, so she'll know a story like this very well. Last week, I had a hospice patient, a 34-year-old guy who died of a brain tumor. His widow is a 33-year-old preschool teacher. She's a preschool teacher. She took off for the last 3 months to take care of him. She has no money at all. She lived with her in-laws while he was dying, and her in-laws don't want her now. So she's a preschool teacher who just lost her husband, who's broke. And then she called me 2 nights ago to tell me that somebody broke into her apartment and stole her television and her stereo. So now she's living in the Econo Lodge because she's too scared to go home. She's not blessed. She didn't do anything to deserve that. We all know that. That didn't happen because she did something wrong, because she didn't follow God's commandments, but because sometimes we are not blessed. We suffer. Last year, one of my students said to me, I teach at a seminary, mostly Protestants, said, "What is the reason for suffering in Judaism?" Because in Christianity, suffering is good in and of itself. Suffering is good for you in Christianity. But in Judaism, suffering is not good for you. In Buddhism, everything, the whole world is suffering. Sometimes I say, why do so many Jews become Buddhists? It's because the Buddhists say everything is suffering and Jews know it's true. But Buddhism says the reason for suffering is so that you learn creative detachment. It's so that you learn how to have perspective, to step back and disengage. Jews never disengage. We never disengage. In Judaism, the purpose of suffering is to alleviate it. The purpose of suffering is tikkun, is to heal it. Jews are called, for better or for worse, for better and worse, to fix the broken world. That is our job as Jews. So while we're here tonight, celebrating our many, many blessings this congregation has, I also want you to know that there are people sitting here tonight who do not feel so blessed. That's just going to happen in a community. There are people here who are suffering tonight, who've lost somebody they care about, who are dealing with a life challenge and illness. There are people here who have new grandchildren, children who are going off to college, wonderful things happening, new jobs, but there are people who are suffering. And in Judaism, the purpose for suffering is not for us to say, oh, you're cursed by God because you did something bad. The purpose of suffering is to call out our communal conscience, to say that those of us who are feeling tonight so blessed, that we understand that in our blessing we have to have empathy, that our blessing is not complete unless we share our blessings with those who need it through our caring and our support. Shabbat Shalom.
You must also know, it was August 31st when I got ordained. And the morning I fell down with 2 ginormous suitcases, the escalator at Bahnhof Zoo in the middle of Berlin, and my legs were blue. So I was wearing winter boots at my ordination, but I was also wearing this dress. I have not worn this dress in 8 years. And miraculously, I was able to close it. So that was a good, but it really was for me something very special to take this dress that doesn't look at all anymore like what I look usually. And a lot of people have commented already on that. But it was very special for me to take it out of the closet today and show it to Daniel. And I also want to say, I then lived for 5 nights on the couch of a friend, and then I went to the airport, and I came here. So basically, all my time as a rabbi, as an ordained rabbi, I spent with you here in this country. So, keeping Shabbat, keeping this community, keeping it together, even though it's a little emotional. Page 162, keep it together, Veshamru. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Glorious, very last line of the pshit. Okay. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם. And before I ask you to rise, on page 164, this is a little something I wrote for you. Admittedly on the stepper, but I do a lot of my work on the stepper, so this counts. God and God of our forefathers and mothers, God of mountains and mighty streams, of air and animals, of sparks of fires, pillars of clouds, silent voices, of invisible steering, powerful outcries, tender care, distinct callings. We never arrive, we journey together. Our home is a high desert, an icy palace in which we pray to you. Bless us in all our endeavors. Let us pray, study, and celebrate in the right seasons. Give us strength, love, empathy, and wisdom as we grow. Wrap us in your glory. Baruch ata Adonai, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. 164, please rise. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, may my mouth may declare your praise. Who's gonna fall? Please pray on your own pace. Oh, actually now the light is burning. Okay. Before we're going to continue with Mishaberach and Kaddish and the closing of the service, we're now going to do the moment of an installation. And I do want to share with you, there are a lot of rabbis in this state who are missing right now. And the reasons that are missing are all health-related, and they're all fragile. And we're going to say a little more about this before we say Mishaberach. But I also need to admit to you that I'm talking to these rabbis maybe every 3 months, with an exception of Ed. And Ed is here, and that is good. So I want to do something a little unusual. We're going to start singing the Aleinu. I'm going to open the Ark. I would love to invite on this bima with me, Rabbi Ed, please. My friends, mentors, guides, and angels, Jane and Marla, and please also my entire team of Gabaim, because more than anybody else, and you should all know this, it's these people who hold the Torah with me. It's these people who give feedback, more honest than any one of you dares to, and leads me in my work here every day as the rabbi of this community. So I want to invite all of you to take a talis. Maybe you can just pick the one you like the best. And please rise. We are on page 589. הכל לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. And thank you for that. So, as I said, we have a lot of people to think about, but I do want to mention specifically the people who couldn't be here tonight. That is Rabbi Lori, who is recovering from surgery and taking care of her husband. That is Rabbi Francine, who is recovering from COVID. And, God, it's been a lot. Ed, you're here. That's good. Yes, and you brought blessing from them. But the person I want to remember the most tonight is Ina Setcher. Ina Setcher had a terrible fall, and it is not clear how long she's going to be with us anymore. So when we're saying Mishaberach right now, I want to mention Ina but Ida. I didn't even know that. Ina but Ida to be included in our Mishaberach for tonight. Are there any other names you want to mention? $371. Not yet. Mishelach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And please rise for the mourners Kaddish. This congregation is still saying Kaddish for Henry Bertuge. And we're also always remembering, together with Dan, your son Kevin. It's 598. 598, Dan. $598. Steph, can you help him? Okay. Good. Yep. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמה דברה חיותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחי יחון וביום יחון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו. לאלה מן כל ברכותה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו Amen. May their memory be for a blessing. Page 627. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni LaShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zetchem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, it looks like we do Kiddush over there, right? Sid? Okay, good. And this is an extra big shout out again to Sid, who is co-chairing the Food and Fun Committee together with Lisa. So this is a good moment for you to introduce you to our new fun person, Lisa, and the old and new food person, Sid. Sid has gone above and beyond to make this evening happening. And if you like the cookies, and I think there's bubbly wine, or is it actually champagne? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we'll go straight there, and we do Kiddush, okay? Without further ado.